What's up, everybody? I was just minding my business earlier. This video came up. Another one of Luke Ford's random videos. The problem with Luke is he has so many videos and so much airtime. You can never watch it. You could easily miss something. You could easily see something random, which I do, but you can easily miss something. But you know, that just goes with the territory of Luke. He has this interesting video where he talks about he thought he was unique in being able to see through the BS, but he found out he wasn't unique, or he actually believed in a lot of bullshit. And Luke talks about how he's not successful for various reasons, but I don't consider Luke to be not successful. And I think the concept of success is a subjective notion. No, that might seem like something losers say, like, well, success is in the eye of the beholder. But I really believe it to be true. Success is, I think it's something that we mostly look at as, are you successful in the eyes of others? You know, like Donald Trump is successful because he dominated his industry and became president. So he's unquestionably successful. But and that seems hard to question his success. Now, a lot of people would say he's not successful. He's a scumbag. He disgraced himself. He disgraced the presidency. He's a liar. He doesn't have, like, he's mentally ill, etc. So it's not so clear cut, right? It's subjective. Somebody like Anthony Bourdain, was he successful? I mean, unquestionably, in many aspects, he was uber successful, but he ended his own life. So is that successful? I think it's kind of a shallow measure of a person. So I don't consider Luke to be unsuccessful. I think if you're true to yourself and you go in the path that you want, maybe he wants to improve certain aspects of his life. I mean, in many different viewpoints, I'm not successful. I don't put my identity out there, so it's harder to talk about than Luke's. But in many ways, I wouldn't be considered successful. But in many ways, I do consider myself a success, even if it's not, even if you can't measure that in objective terms. You know, I, when you think about what most people think about as success in this community, obviously there's a monetary component, kind of being your own boss, working a job that interests you, maybe having somewhat of a traditional lifestyle, having a healthy family, maybe being in touch with your roots, living in your hometown, your home state, and retaining those ties and having a healthy family. That definition of success wasn't possible for me. There were many problems in my family and back where I used to live. So I relocated across the country, which was a huge ordeal. But it made me a better person. I have the comfort of having been my own trailblazer, escaped away from a lot of the bullshit back home that some unhealthy people would have wanted to entrap me in, etc. But there's not any monetary gain from that. Like, I probably would have been better off monetarily if I had just stayed back where I was from. Maybe I would have had kids and a family earlier than I do now. Would have had a better house, better car, more stronger ties. But I consider myself more successful for having led that and blazed my own path, And I think an element of that for Luke, he's got to consider himself successful, even if he doesn't live in a community or house that compares to some of the people at his synagogue, you know. And likewise with having a healthy outlook, seeing through the BS. He's saying that's kind of like what losers do. And well, he's not wrong. I'm sure a lot of losers make that a core part of their identity because they don't have the wealth or a business or a family to show for it. So, yeah, they embrace conspiracy theories and extreme politics and, go to Trump rallies, and they're obsessed with that. Well, it's like I would consider part of being successful being healthy. Maybe that consists of going to the gym, or instead of going to McDonald's, eating at the more healthy, trendy restaurant like Chipotle or something even better than Chipotle. But you could become obsessed with that too. You could spend 7 hours a day at the gym and neglect your life, and your ass is looking great in the pictures on Instagram, and yeah, man, people could see the striations in your calf muscles. It's looking tight, but you could be neglecting your family, and your personal life could be a wreck. But you're indulging in this part of your identity that gives you the endorphins. So you could be a total loser in that respect. You could be obsessed with your business and be a billionaire and be, quote, not successful or not happy. There's billionaires who are losers, like that DuPont guy who ran the wrestling club that killed the Olympic gold medalist and I guess spent the rest of his life in mental institutions. That guy was a fucking loser, and he was a billionaire. And Anthony Bourdain was a multimillionaire. So this video kind of sounds like rationalizing being a loser, but there is that saying that nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. And I think it kind of sounds like one of those lame, stupid sayings, but I think it's definitely true or has some truth to it. Damn it, come on. I lost my train of thought. Look, every human being on planet Earth thinks about status, has that on their mind, is somewhat concerned about how they appear to others, with the exception of some bum on the street who really doesn't give a shit. So it's natural and this is why people do things for status, whether it's post a picture of their new car on their Facebook or the pathetic humble brag. I think it's almost impossible to get the idea of status out of your mind, because maybe you could argue that if you try to not think about status, that in itself is sort of an act of trying to increase your status by totally disregarding it to begin with. I don't know. But there's definitely more healthy approaches than others. And I think, although maybe there's areas of his life, say somebody like Luke would want to improve on, as do I. I think adhering to a traditional viewpoint of what success or what successful is, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's lame. I think it's limiting. Would you consider soldiers who fought and died and at a young age, but did what they wanted and were heroic and brave, to be failures? They never amassed any money. But they, at least if they volunteered and knew what they were getting themselves into, they lived life on their own terms and did what they wanted to do. Would you consider some of these? I'm into the Old West, and I like these stories of like Wyatt Earp and some of these outlaws and lawmen. Wyatt Earp lived to be an old age, so he would have been successful by the traditional standards of wealth and age and status and such. But there were many others, like his brothers, that died as lawmen, around the age of 30. but they became folk heroes, you know? Are they failures? Are they not successful? Um, I think yes and no. It depends how you measure it. So I think true success is living life on your own terms, not how you're seen in the eyes of others. Um, but I think part of that is seeing through the BS is basically saying having a healthy outlook. So if you can see through the BS of the world or the BS of the news or the BS of people that try to manipulate you or the BS in your family, I think that's a good, if not core part of having a healthy life or successful, having a good life. But yeah, you don't obsess about it. You don't indulge in conspiracy theories. You don't go to Trump rallies obsessively. Um, but he did make an interesting video. So got to give him that. And that's all I got to say. So have a good day.